Hi, everyone. We've got meteorologist Leslie Castro, Davion Huggins, and myself. We're all in the weather lab. Josh Rugger is watching storms in Illinois. Man, some wicked storms in Illinois. Some major tornadoes, too. We'll show you some of that. There's a lot to talk about. We've only got a little bit of time. It's almost 7 o'clock, 6:37. We do have a 7 o'clock newscast. Davion Huggins has that covered. But, man, there are some wicked storms right now, including one that we're watching very closely because here's a look at now. It's a confirmed tornado in Oklahoma City, by the way. Confirmed tornado, Oklahoma City. Just got observed 2.5-inch hail. There's a monster supercell and a tornado that we're watching streams on. In fact, we're going to show you those streams here in just a bit. In fact, we'll show you right now in Illinois. So here's a look at two streams right now. We got Brandon Kopic and Brandon Montgomery. So two Brandons that are on the same storm, including that massive tornado. Now, this has already crossed the area. Here you get to see the wall cloud that's moving in. Check this out. Here's the streams from those two people. So you got the wall cloud that's on the right-hand side. You got Brandon Kopic that's driving on the left-hand side. This, by the way, we've got permission to use this. And Brett Adair, this is basically his streaming platform, and this is WeatherWise. It's an app where you can download. We're using the desktop version, and it shows you just multiple streams of all the severe weather that's happening. So a lot to go over, a lot to talk about, but these are the systems that we're going to be watching. Definitely don't want my camera on the screen, considering we might be covering up a tornado. Now, these are some wicked storms, wicked cells. We're going to be talking more about that here coming up in just a bit, but I can tell you, we have got to watch this system coming in really, really closely. All right, so there's the tornado off in the distance, a considerable tornado. Before you could really see it very, very close. So let's take a look at what we've got here on, first of all, Howell Heating Cooling Mega Doppler. This is the cell that's really impressive that's off to the west. You've got Hopkins Park.
Well, this is Illinois.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. This is the one that the wedge that we were watching, and you can see the debris that's on the ground, strong circulation. We were watching this cell for a while, and speaking of this, this cell that has been developing basically has had times where it wasn't rotating as strongly. Now it's kind of rotating a little bit stronger, and so we're watching that, and you can see that upper level energy that's moving in. There's two areas that are significant that we have to watch. So the area that's going to be moving into the river valley, that's going to be potential for some strong storms. We're going to get to that, but there is a lot that's happening now. Now, here's the deal. If you're watching for a specific streaming of a storm, we're not going to be able to do that. So I'm seeing a lot of comments about Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall can cover all storms across the country. We've got a show to do. We're covering our weather coverage area. People that watch the stream are mainly focused for our area. Mm-hmm. However, we will kind of touch base on some of these cells, but we're not going to be doing like streaming coverage of these cells. So don't ridicule us. Don't criticize us of not covering these storms the same way. We're just showing you what we can expect. You bring up the PTDS here. In fact, you don't even have to worry about it. I'll just bring it up right here. We'll look at
I have it.
Yep. Okay, there you go. Look at the debris signature. So this is just to the east. We'll zoom in here a little bit. There's the debris that's detected. You can see that circulation. No doubt a tornado, and a very strong one at that.
Look at that.
Look at the streams, too. You can really see those wall clouds. Look at the green thunderstorm. That's Brandon Kopic's stream on the left-hand side, and that green thunderstorm means you've got hail in there, the sun angle. Look at the inflow tail on the right-hand side. Pretty incredible.
And that max hail size they have for that tornado warning is up to 3 inches in diameter.
Yeah. So very impressive storms. All right. Let's get to our forecast because I just got done doing my weathercast. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you essentially all of the stuff that we can expect. Because here's the deal. This is a strong system. I think surprises will happen. I know people might be a little gun shy about the severe weather potential considering that Friday around here, at least in Northwest Arkansas, wasn't as impressive as it was out in Oklahoma. Now, northeast sections of Oklahoma, Tulsa, not very far away, just a 2-hour drive, got some pretty serious storms, and then we eventually had that supercell clipping our weather coverage area. So let's zoom out on the wider view. Number one, this is a much stronger upper level support system. Big time system coming in, and the upper level support is outstanding with this. You can see the impacts of it. Look at the storms just blossoming. Now, here's the deal. We've got this dry punch that's coming in. You can see that as the dry slot kicks eastward. Look, we're about to be under it, and that means those cells could blow up over us at any time. We've got the upper level support. We've got the instability. I'll show you that in just a bit. In fact, I don't have it built into my show. I meant to, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you, boy, oh boy, this system's running really slow. Here's the radar with CAPE. Now, this is a wide zoomed out view. There's instability everywhere. So this is the problem. We can have thunderstorms that will be intense at any time. Notice how the instability might be lacking just slightly over northwest Arkansas. The reason for that, we kind of had some cloud cover, Aleshly, on and off that was happening. So this is meteorologist Aleshly Castro. You've been doing weather blogs. You've been doing a bunch of digital stuff, and we're going to have a busy night. It looks like
that for sure. And I mean, we can talk about the timing too while we're at it. It's going to be a late night for us. If we thought Friday night was late, this one's going to be a lot later, to say the least.
Yeah.
We know those. It's more of a QLCS that we're expecting this time around is 4 storm modes rather than just your typical supercells that we saw explode over Oklahoma Friday night. And the forcing mechanism for that looks like it's going to be that dry line. I mean, you could see exactly where these storms are riding along these fronts.
Yeah, you got that dry front. You got that dry line that's off to the west. So this is essentially kind of like a dry front. The dry line is an area where you have warm, humid air out ahead of it. The greatest lift is east of the dry line. Then you've got the dry, hot air to the west of it. Look, storms are trying to fire behind the dry line. This shows you the amount of support and energy that's coming in. Way more energy than Friday. Friday, the system was positive tilt. A positive tilt means it's slower moving. This is almost becoming neutral, and that just means a lot of energy moving in. But we're going to take a look at the future radar, but look at all the dew points. We got mid-60s dew points. A lot of fuel available for thunderstorms. And you'll see here the tornado potential. Now, believe it or not, this is the very first conditional intensity group 2 that's been available. And I don't think you're going to see another outlook look this good on this graphic system.
No.
we actually we were able to make this. This is what all that hard work was manually done. So we've got essentially that SIG2. Now the problem is the SPC, when they draw their SIG2, these other lines disappear. There's no way for us to do that at the moment. There's just absolutely no way, because this has to be a transparent layer that has a texture to it. But this is the area of 15%. They nailed that. It's right along a warm front. It totally makes sense. But as much as that tornado risk is, look at what's happening off to our west. Now, we know we already have a confirmed tornado near Oklahoma City, and that's within that 5%. Well, guess what? We are also within the 5% area. So there's a super large area of severe weather potential all across the region. We're going to zip in here. I'll take the camera off the screen, put the storm reports on there. There you see the tornadoes, including one that's been reported west of Oklahoma City. Yeah, it's a very healthy cell. So what's the timing of this? We'll get to that right now. Here we go. We got 8 p.m. at the earliest, and I'm just putting that window in there because that dry line is starting to mix eastward. The dry slot in the upper levels is moving in. What that does is that creates a very steep level lapse rates in the mid-levels, known as the elevated mix layer. That elevated mix layer, if you look at a sounding, that's where you have your mixing. A great way to see this is if you see some jets that are above head and those contrails are rapidly mixing out. That tells you that you have rapid mixing and a steep lapse rate. What does steep lapse rates do? What they're going to do is create a lot of fast rising motion. So if you can think about it, the quicker the temperature cools as you rise with height, the more unstable that you will be if you, in fact, get above that layer. So I will say this, I don't think there's anybody else that explains the science on these streams like we do. We explain the science. We talked about QLCS, tornado potential, what causes that. You might see a lot of other coverage, but there's a lot of people that are covering storms and severe weather on social media, but they don't know the science behind it.
They don't explain it necessarily.
No. Critical angle, you've got streamwise vorticity current, all these things that can produce tornadoes. And let's get back to our area. Now, for us, obviously there's isolated supercells out west. The main question is going to be storm mode. Now, what do we mean by storm mode? Is it going to be supercells, such as what's happening here? This is a supercell thunderstorm
Yep.
in
I
Oklahoma
could
City.
Zoom out a little bit more, and there's just been supercells pretty much popping up all
Yeah.
over this dry line, in fact.
And let's take that lightning off of there because
Yeah.
we know obviously the lightning is there. This will give us a better idea of the cell. Let's take a look at the circulation on that and
Yep.
we could do a split screen. Yeah, look at that rotation right there. Very strong rotation. Set the storm motion from the warning.
Which I did.
Yep. So important to do
Ooh, they
that,
just-
especially when you're using storm relative velocity. I don't know if a lot of other places do that, but we do because that really makes the storm relative velocity accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can look at CC. There's no
There's
CC
anything-
drop. So it
Nope.
might have been a brief tornado that touched down. You can kind of see how it looks like to be cycling.
They downgraded the warning too.
Okay, so they made it just this made it radar indicated
Mhm.
rather than observed. So that makes sense. That makes sense. And Davion, you can be in weather 1 as you're putting together your show. So
Yep.
we got Davion in the background. All right, let's go to
Here.
the individual threats here. No, you're good. If you
Oh,
got to
okay.
still build your show, you're fine. I was just saying
Yeah.
Davion's in the background in case you're wondering who is back there.
Yeah,
And Leslie, you can still be here
just
as well.
moving around.
But so here's what we've got for the individual risks. A few tornadoes will be possible, and we do have that hatched area. Why is that hatched area covering the entire area? At first, you might be like, boy, the SPC is just putting these out everywhere. But the actual deal is that we're looking at, the intensity and conditional intensity is there.
yes.
We've got the instability.
Yes.
We've got the moisture. We've got the helicity. We've got the low level shear.
Mhm.
We've got the forcing mechanism. SLIM. Spell out the word SLIM. SLIM. Shear, lift, instability.
Moisture.
You got it. We got it all. Sun's come out in Harrison. That's what Melissa Cleveland's saying. And we'll take a look here at our Gaither Mountain Weather Bug Network camera. So there's Garfield, Posey. That makes sense because we're getting subsidence around those anvils. We'll look at what's happening too with look at that. That is completely clear. And that's not good when you have the sunshine come out. That means you're really starting to cook the pot, if you will. You're boiling the water. You're turning on the burner. We'll take the camera off the screen because we want to look at the last one. So
Mhm.
notice there's a small little sliver of western Sequoia County under that SIG 1 for 75 plus miles per hour winds. That's why we upgraded this. And the Weather Service is saying possibly even up to 80 miles per hour. I think we really do need to watch this system. There's Posey Mountain, temperatures in the mid 70s. Look at Harrison at 76 right now, close to 80 degrees in Fort Smith, and still southerly winds that are pumping in the moisture. So you've got some big time energy and moisture moving in. All right, so here's the risk. Now check this out. The HRRR actually not doing a bad job. It has that
I'd have to
630. It
agree.
has that isolated cell. It has some other cells. So, hey,
Out towards
I
us.
will give props where they're due, right? Sometimes we don't do that. But for the models, we blast them a lot. This is actually doing a fairly decent job. Notice how those storms blossom by 8:30. Now, here's where it starts congealing more into a line. But don't be fooled. This line, if the ingredients are right, will have that potential to produce QLCS tornadoes. QLCS stands for quasi-linear convective system. So Diana, I hope you're watching closely because we've got the timing on this, when this storm system will be moving in, which I think midnight. I think midnight is going to be our key
I
time.
believe so too.
I think right about midnight. Now, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. is the wide window. Okay, if you're looking out the entire window, but looking within the window frame, if you
Yes.
will, you've got, I think, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. 10 p.m. just in case it moves in a little quicker. So you'll notice here, look at 12:30, really starting to build up. And then as we get into the early morning hours, 1:30 in the morning, that's when this line, which appears to break apart. Now, problem is that models sometimes do break apart storms unexpectedly, and they shouldn't.
Yes.
So Layla's asking about what's wrong with the sun being out. So if we look at a skew T, and you start bringing that temperature a little bit farther to the right, that leads to more instability. We'll talk about that. And Melissa says further destabilizes the atmosphere, gives these storms more fuel to work with. Exactly. Well, we're going to show you a technical edition of that. I think maybe we might be able to get to it. Now there's the storms coming through. Here's the beautiful thing. I'm going to bring all three of us in here. I doubt there is another weather team that has done more QLCS training than this group right here.
Right.
We have done a lot of studies on QLCSs. QLCS, they're not, I mean, and it's easy to look back at the radar and then see, hey, that's where the tornado, armchair quarterbacking. That's, that's easy, right?
Right.
When you look back at something, oh, there's going to be a tornado here, and then you detect it. But there are signals and signs that the weather radar brings along with the conditions. You've got nudgers, you've got confidence builders, all these things that you can look at. VROT, if the velocity rotation is expected to be over 25 knots. On radar, we can look at that. If it's on multiple tilts, we can look at higher tilts before it starts rotating down to the ground. These are called mesovortices. Mesovortices are different than supercell tornadoes. Oftentimes, they don't get warned until they're already on the ground. So we're going to be vigilant on these big time. So again, if you're just tuning in, we're going to go back to this timing. For Waldron, here you get to see it right here. Waldron could be a little after midnight to about 2 a.m. Now, we're not going to say right at 2 a.m. We're saying the window is about midnight to 3 a.m. You can see that line moving through. And what's interesting about this is that last night we were looking at the HRRR and it didn't even have anything.
And we knew it was we knew it was bad because all of the energy that we saw out ahead of that low pressure system, it was stout.
Yeah.
And we knew Baja Blast energy, the models don't handle it well. So we didn't drop the percentages at all. We kept them at 80. And now you see, now that we're closer to the event, all the rain chances are back and you showing up on the future track.
So this is a great question here, honestly. Taylor's asking, which system is more concerning to you, tonight or was it last Friday? So last Friday was the enhanced risk, but the enhanced risk didn't verify for us.
Yeah.
So, and I think with the moisture that's in place, now already in place, whereas before it wasn't as deep. The moisture wasn't as deep. It was kind of more shallow.
Not to mention,
Yeah.
upper level forcing was a very big issue for Friday's system too. It was out towards the west of us. That's why you saw those tornadoes pop out over Oklahoma. Now, if that was farther east, then we would have been cooked, as we would say.
Yeah.
And I think for right now, I think today concerns me more, not only because of the linear setup that may set up, but because we're seeing the storms, how they're performing right now
out west.
Of our area.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's concerning.
No doubt about that. So I think personally, we really need to be watching this system, and you do as well. So basically, here's a look at that system coming through, and then you can see the storm system is going to be long gone by early morning. So here's the beautiful thing. We are going to be keeping up with this. Here's what you need to do. You need to download our Weather Authority app. I'll take the camera off the screen, even though we're not covering up anything, so it doesn't scan us. And then it brings up the definition of someone that got hit by the ugly stick, all right, for me. So so scan that QR code, and you can get interactive radar. And by the way, we had a viewer question about this. You can actually customize your interactive radar to put overlays on there how you want. So if you want the radar and the alerts on top, that's what you'll be able to see. Here's another thing too, Weather Call Next Gen. Now, Weather Call Next Gen is great, all right? And it's really helpful, but here's what it won't do for you. If there's a severe thunderstorm and there's no tornado warning, and this QLCS produces a tornado and you only have tornado warning set on your phone, you won't get an alert because it has to be a tornado warning. However, if this severe thunderstorm warning comes out, the tornado warning doesn't come out until it's already confirmed. Then you'll be able to get that call and it'll say, hey, tornado's on the ground. That's the advantage. But if the warning doesn't come out, there's no service that's going to work. So that's why I know Tulsa is going to be working the radar really, really closely, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. So here's the deal. We won't be able to get to instability, but we are going to show you why when we warm up, more instability creates a more unstable environment. Here you go with the timing. This will really give you a good view of what you can expect. So this is the timing through, as you can see, not a lot at 8 p.m., but still possible for a few isolated showers to pop up. Then as we get into about midnight, those storm chances really start to crank up. And then you can obviously see the rain is going to drop off as we get into the early morning hours. Now, the severe weather risk will be out of here before that, but it's something definitely to watch. Now, another thing you need to watch is the temperature drop. Tomorrow afternoon into the evening, this front comes in and it plummets the temperatures in a major way, right, Aleshli?
Yep, definitely. So it's going to be a little bit cooler for the next several days, but don't worry, it'll warm up over the weekend, and then it's quite a ways out. But Sunday night is going to be the real kicker for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, check out this wall cloud. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Stand by. Stand by. Here we go. Weather 3. Look at this. So we got 2 wall clouds there, and that's violent rotation. That storm still has a tornado warning. That is just a classic textbook wall cloud. And these are 2 streams from weatherwise.app. There you get to see the wall cloud. This actually had power flashes underneath it a little while ago. It was a very well-defined tornado cycling right now. There's another chaser that's on the way. So, I'd love to show these streams all the time, but obviously we got newscasts to do. We got things to do. We do have our storm spotters that will be out there. They'll be covering all this. So I personally think more of a line that comes through here with embedded storms. But here's another thing you got to watch out for. Isolated supercells out ahead of the line, because there's so much energy that could be developing with this system.
I've been seeing some outflow boundaries out there that's been kicking up new storms out in Texas as well.
So that's something to watch for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to Davion's going to have his weather bar. Are you doing Mega Doppler?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So check this out. I don't know when we're coming up here. Oh, we're coming up here in about 30 seconds.
Yep.
So major upper level support coming our way. There you see it. That's what's different compared to this system compared to last Friday. The system was lagging back, but this has a kick in the pants, if you like to say. All right, guys, stand by. Coming out. I don't have an IFB in. Okay. Another tornado that's touching down. Yep. And that's what Davion's about to talk about right now. So we're going to our 7 o'clock newscast briefly, and then we're going to end the stream.
Proudly covering the Northwest Arkansas community. This is KNWA News at 7 on KXNW.
Well, storms are already ramping up to our west with the potential of severe weather here definitely on the table. Good evening and thanks for joining us here tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm Allie Lynch. Meteorologist Davion Huggins joins us now. And Davion, we could see some big storms later on tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Allie. Right now, we have a tornado warning just for the Oklahoma City metro. There's a supercell that's moving northeast, and that could track right through the downtown metro area of Oklahoma City. And we show you that because that shows you how prime our atmosphere is for today. This is out west, but the same conditions are over our area. The moisture is in place. The instability is in place as well, especially when you see how clear the skies are right now. Current conditions over at Posey Mountain, 73 degrees. Dew points continue to be in the lower 60s. So we're getting ready to have a very active evening ahead of us, as we still have that level 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe weather. And that does include all modes of severe weather, especially tornadoes with a hatched risk as well. So I'll be timing out all the details and everything you need to know as we go throughout your full forecast. But your news at 7 o'clock starts now. We're going to send things back to you, Allie.
All right, Davion, thank you. And to keep you up all to date with the latest with tonight's potential severe weather, you can download our Weather Authority app. All you have to do is scan that QR code on your screen or head to the App Store and you can download it for free. Well, tonight, a Bentonville couple remains behind bars after police say they were.
All right, guys, so we're going to be back on here. We're in the middle of the newscast. We're going to be back on tonight, I think, 8 o'clock. So 8:30. It'll be about 8:15, honestly. And we'll do another live stream, probably covering the storms as they come in, and that will be the entire time. We'll stay on the entire time. So I can't just stay on the newscast unless you want to see it. We can just stay on the newscast, but it's not going to be weather anymore. We'll just stay on.
Multiple scratches and bruises on their bodies. 5 dogs and 3 cats were also
We're still
found
going
inside
through
the
the
home.
about that,
Police
Davion.
claim it's the second worst case they'd seen of animal cruelty. Snyder and Peterson are in the Benton County Detention Center on $50,000 bonds. They are expected back in court April
I guess they want
13th.
to see the news, but there's not going to be any weather.
Well, tonight, a new hearing is set to decide whether the son of former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson should lose his license to practice law. This hearing comes after 50-year-old William Asa Hutchinson III pled guilty to drug possession and second offense driving while intoxicated in October of 2023. He was arrested in January of that same year by Benton County deputies. He was then issued an interim. Last year, the petition was filed seeking Hutchinson's disbarment. The hearing on March 18th will decide what disciplinary actions Hutchinson will face. And tonight, as a criminal investigation continues into the ending of the weekend Arkansas State playoff game, the Arkansas Activities Association has come down hard on both teams. It hits Barton High School hard, who was slated to play for a 2A state title on Thursday. The AAA decided today 5 Barton players and 7 England High School players were officially ejected. So those 5 won't be allowed to play Mount Vernon Enola for a state title. The Garland County Sheriff's Office is leading the criminal investigation. Well, life got a little easier for some Benton and Washington County residents who have made mistakes in their past, as the Arkansas Justice Reform Coalition held a record-sealing event today in Rogers, aiming to help those who have completed their court obligations for misdemeanor and some felony charges. This event then allows them to go out and have a shot at a normal life post-rehabilitation.
A lot of our prison population is people that are churning through the probation and parole cycle, really, of getting out and still having that stain on their record, still not being free enough to be seen as viable as an employee or as a resident. And so this can really open the door for people to get back into that arena and to be able to compete.
And the Arkansas Justice Reform Coalition also holds meetings every 4th Thursday of the month to discuss the state of our prison system. Well, work is officially underway on yet another multi-million-dollar student housing project. Construction crews are wasting no time, and ground has already been broken, even with a permit being issued just last week. KNWA's Gabriella Phelan reports.
Just steps off the University of Arkansas campus, student housing can be found on what feels like every corner, and new construction projects are popping up frequently. The newest housing project, called Juniper, is a 7-story, 294-unit apartment on Duncan Avenue. The city of Fayetteville gave the seal of approval to start construction on March 4th. And just 6 days later, the $115 million project is well underway right next to various other.
In case you guys are wondering, we've got Weather 3. There won't be audio for this, but we do have a live stream from KFOR. It's one of our affiliates. And so this right here is KFOR Oklahoma City. They were showing the wall cloud earlier. No tornado on the ground at the moment, but these are their storm spotters. Oklahoma City, this is the NBC affiliate, Nexstar sister station. And we'll get to see, they don't have a real good view of the wall cloud, but there's going to be something else here coming up. So again, you're watching video from KFOR, no audio signal right now at the moment. But if you want to watch their live stream, you can obviously see it. They've got the radar on the bottom left. That's one of our storm spotters that also has that as well. There's the wall cloud and the associated storm. You can see definitely a well-defined lowering. Also what's called a mesocyclone. Inflow tails, striations. That's what we've got. So we definitely have some energy moving in. So we're just kind of, in the meantime, just letting you know, we're showing parts of the newscast. At the same time, we're showing some different things right now, watching KFOR coverage. Now, we're going to have weather on here real soon, and that's going to be Davion Huggins. That's giving that 7 o'clock weathercast. We're going to look at some new models. And we'll do that during the commercial break, and then we're going to drop off. But we'll wait for Davion to give his weather forecast, which is coming up here real soon. Look at all those things on the menu. Boy, is that distracting. In my opinion. That's a lot of things on there. What are you on? No. Yeah, well, I could switch on it. Don't worry. Are you coming up in the weather lab? If you're wall, then you don't got to worry about it. Okay, if you're weather lab, we can switch. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that updraft. That's called the flanking line. So you got the flanking line, which is the initial stages of the updraft. Underneath that, you got the base, and then you got the precipitation free base that's underneath that. Okay, so stand by. You do? You have a ways? Okay. Stand by. Okay. You got a package. Okay. Hold on just a second. Oh, come on. Of course, you got to freak out now. Well, love it when something's on there. There you go. Look at that. Take the camera off the screen. So we're quiet right now because obviously there's a newscast that's in progress. Studio's right next to the news desk. That's why we have to be quiet, not talking as loud. They have multiple cameras. Yeah, there's that circulation. And that, by the way, is Mike Morgan. Mike Morgan has been there ever since I was in college. He's been there a long time. I'm sure he's pretty close to retiring himself. He's going to be there. Some other cameras going nuts as well.
Into the city.
Okay, so we got a national package coming up. Look at that, developing wall cloud. Now here's what I personally think. I think once that critical angle starts to take over, we'll be seeing some stuff. Let's take a look here. All right, we're in the middle of a pack, so I can talk a little bit louder. We're in what's called a package, and we're going to be seeing that here real quick. I want to look at a photograph to see what type of shear we're looking at for the Oklahoma City storm to see how close it is to possibly tornadoing. So here's a look at this live stream along with a camera. They'll be bringing up the radar soon. Some people, by the way, I want to bring this up because this was a question that we had from a viewer, actually a comment that was not too long ago. How about this for multiple boxes here? I'm invading KFOR's broadcast, but here's the deal. Why do we look at cameras, especially at night, instead of showing the radar? Because the radar has limitations. You can only see about 4,000 to 7,000 feet above the ground. There is no way to know what's happening underneath the storm. So that is why we have storm spotters. That's why we have those people that are out there. And that's also why we use their videos, because it gives us an idea of what we're visually seeing with the storm. Radar is great, and we go back to the radar, but radar only tells you so much. I know that people kind of panic when they're in a threat for storms, they're in a severe weather threat. Believe me, we'll tell you all the information that you need to know to stay safe. Speaking of that, here's a look at the storm and that rotation. So we're looking at that circulation just to the southwest of downtown Oklahoma City. So this is basically like coming over Oklahoma City. So nobody does weather like Oklahoma. There's no doubt about that. Okay, we're switching it over.
Sees a preview of our full forecast. And Davion, I know you guys are busy there in the weather lab tracking some big storms.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Allie. We're seeing storms fire up, and they're actually moving into downtown Oklahoma City right now. It's actually a tornado warning storm, and that's off to our west. However, the same conditions are right over our area as well, and it's just a precursor of what we could see later on tonight. So I'll have the full details on what you need to know in the full forecast after this quick break.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Ozark Mountain Roofing. Integrity first, protecting what matters most.
I forgot we had that routed to Weather 3. It's okay, though. They're an affiliate, so we can use it. Yeah, we can use it. We can do that. That's kind of cool. All right, so we're in a break. Streaming and newscast don't mix.
Weather one.
And by the way, Allie had the misfortune of the prompter wand going out, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, yep. Josh, they're affiliate, so we're all good. Mike Morgan. Let's go back to that, and then we'll do Davion's stream real quick. So you on weather 1 or 2? Max 1?
Yeah.
Max 1? Okay. I'm going to bring up Max 2. We'll continue to show that live stream. No CG lightning? Yeah, you are definitely going to be seeing CG lightning. And in fact, I would probably start thinking about plugging those electrical appliances later on tonight. I think you start with that and then go down to Mega Doppler. And then, yeah, and don't forget you got to add that as a data set. Okay, so open it in. Yeah, there you go. You good. It's added. Once you dragged it, it's in there. So I want to look at the hodograph analysis tool, and I haven't been able to do that because I've been so busy, and it's really hard to analyze storms when you're in the middle of a broadcast and severe weather coverage and all that stuff. This will be a perfect opportunity to check out the critical angle. Storm motion,
Storm motion 258,
258 at
28 knots.
And that's the right one? You even set the newest one?
ATLX.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's go to Midwest City, Tinker Air Force Base. Okay, we got that. We're loading up the hodograph, and yeah, low-level shear is not impressive right now, and we're over 90 degrees for the critical angle. I'll show you what I mean by this. Again, I don't think you'll be seeing this anywhere else because we're the only one that has this hodograph program. So stand by. I'm going to share the screen. Here's a hodograph analysis tool, and you'll notice that critical angle is not real great. But once that low-level jet starts kicking in and the system starts cranking up, what you got?
249 at 27.
249 at 27. Davion, give me a heads up when you're coming up. Okay. So we're generating a new hodograph analysis. There's the storm motion, a little bit different, but not super major difference. So anyways, and you didn't get to see that, or maybe you did. Yeah, you did. Okay, good.
Okay.
Remove that.
With meteorologist Davion Huggins, certified most accurate by weather rate.
Well, we want to take you through severe weather headlines and waste no time. So we already starting to see severe storms pop off to our west as well as to our north. And that's going to be likely over our area as we head throughout the late overnight hours into the early morning hours.
Got to show you that. That's pretty impressive right there. But we'll go back to Davion. But I got to show you that. That's a wall cloud starting to rotate.
Storms move through. All hazards with those storms are going to be possible, especially along and south of Interstate 40 in the River Valley. And that's going to be a main threat of damaging winds and spin-up tornadoes. So what we're talking about with spin-ups are the tornadoes that are there and then they're kind of gone. They're very short-lived, but still do a lot of damage. Here's a live look at Howell Heating Cooling Mega Doppler right now. This is a supercell storm that had a tornado earlier on the ground. Right now, it seems to have been lifted, but this is going right through downtown Oklahoma City. That's, of course, out of our viewing area off to the west, but that just shows you how prime the atmosphere is right now. In fact, look at the current watches and warnings extending all the way from the Texas and Mexico border all the way through just south of Chicago, as we're seeing a very large line of storms as well as embedded supercells, individual supercells all firing up. And that just shows you how prime our atmosphere, again, some of those conditions are ripe right over our area as well. So here is a look at that. The major upper level support is already starting to push off over towards our area, and you can see the cluster of thunderstorms firing up down in Texas, as well as the supercells over in Illinois and as well as Indiana. So here's a closer look at that, and then you can see as we continue to go throughout the evening hours, the low level jet will kick in as well, and that's really going to allow some storms that take off to try and rotate. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye on the radar over the next several hours. There you see the numerous tornado watches extending all along that cold front as well down south. So we're going to continue to keep a very close eye on that. Here's the thing that's different versus last week's storm. Dew points kind of had to get here. The moisture had to get here. However, we have a very large high pressure system off to the east, pumping Gulf moisture all the way up into Illinois and Indiana. So dew points right now are in the mid 60s, almost area wide. And then here's a look at the tornado risk. We already had a tornado, a very stout tornado as well, I might add, on the ground. It probably is continuing to be on the ground. And this is in that SIG 2 EF3 plus conditional group intensity group, I should say, and that's that hatched risk. So down to our area, we're only in SIG 1, but we do not want to drop our guard down, especially seeing how the storms are performing already. Again, there was a tornado on the ground across portions of Oklahoma as well as into Texas. So the most active areas are going to be to our north and to our south. However, we are right in the middle of that, so we do not want to let our guard down. There you see a few storms possible that could be severe. All modes of severe weather, including tornadoes, a little bit on the stronger side, are on the table. And now we had storm mode questions because we have the intensity or instability, I should say. That's no longer in question. Now the question becomes storm mode. It looks like we're going to see more of a linear line with embedded supercells across our area. So a few supercells possible, a few tornadoes possible, large hail up to 2 inches in diameter, as well as damaging winds 75 plus miles per hour that could be across our area. So there's a look at Posey Mountain, Garfield, and you'll see why we have the instability, because the temperatures are starting to warm up as the clouds continue to decrease, I should say. We showed you those dew points already into the mid 60s. So it's going to be a very stout system. Now, future track, here's what you see. Already seeing those isolated supercells over in Oklahoma City, and that's going to continue to progress off to the east and move towards our area. You see about 10 o'clock, still off to the west. So there's going to be a very late and noisy overnight period. And you see after midnight is when we start to see that stout line of storms move through. Again, a few of those storms will be able to rotate if we can. So especially along and south of the River Valley. So Fort Smith, definitely going to be keeping a very close eye on you guys as well down south in the River Valley. For your full 7-day forecast, as you'll see, Northwest Arkansas, that cold front moves through on Wednesday afternoon, and then we see those temperatures warm up nicely into the mid 70s for Friday and Saturday, upper 70s Saturday, before we get a little cool on the start of next week as a cold front moves through once again. Temperature is going to struggle to leave the 40s for our Monday, possibly even cooler. So winter is not done yet, but all eyes are on the severe weather that goes through on tonight. Keep it here with your Weather Authority team for the latest, and we'll have more KNWA news after this quick break.
Not only is he a track star, he's also a weather star too, man. Yeah, weather star. Good job, my man. Hey, I'll show you this. This storm's really starting to crank up in Oklahoma.
I almost got distracted because I saw.
I know. Did you see that wall cloud? Yeah. Also, too, a lot of people are underneath an overpass, taking shelter from basically how crazy the heavy rain was. So that is not the thing to do. Yes, sir. Okay, we're gonna load up KTLX. I got a different METAR program here. Oh, this is gonna be perfect. Tinker Air Force Base. Click on that for the METAR. KTIK. Oklahoma City. Yeah, you can see downtown right there. See the buildings?
Skyline.
Yeah, skyline. Okay, what is the storm mode? Oh, KTIK. It failed to fetch that. KTIK. It failed to grab the METAR. Hold on. KOKC. Let me see what we got. Okay, that worked. Plot the METAR. What's the storm motion again?
It is 249 at 27.
249 at 27. Okay. At 27, we're going to plot the storm motion. Plot storm motion. All right, let's see what we got. This is the old school version. Plot METAR and plot the hodograph. Yeah, I don't know if this is working as well. Let's see.
So much to talk about.
Very impressive circulation. So again, this is just the Oklahoma City's coverage as we're looking at this storm. Let's see. Yeah, that's just not a great hodograph right now. The low level shear, and by the way, we have an analyst version. This is the one we're trying to do where you can kind of zoom in on the hodograph and look at it. Okay, thank you, Allie. Appreciate it. We'll be quiet. So why isn't it tornadoing? It's because the shear is not impressive. Check this out. We're going to show you on the shear tab here.
Welcome back. National report highlights Arkansas as one of the states
So this is the photograph. It's not great. It doesn't look all that impressive. And then we'll look at this one here. We'll load up this real quick. KTLX, KTIK, storm direction. Again, right click. And you're sure that's the exact storm motion?
Yep.
Believe it or not, storm motion is probably one of the most important things of the tornado potential. Let's see if the low level jet's starting to kick in. Nope, it's not.
Can't see
So we'll
anything.
share this tab. See, it's just not impressive. There's just no critical angle at all. That's why the storm isn't producing a long-lived tornado. But
Yeah.
as Josh mentioned, once that low-level jet starts kicking in, that's where you're going to start to see some stronger tornado potential. And that's about an hour away. It's not very far away. So we're going to have tornado potential here real soon. Here you go. That's what I was looking at. Look at this. Look at this backup. That is what not to do in a tornado. Yeah, we're going to bring this up full so you can see here. Sorry. Nope, wrong one. Look at this. This is what not to do in
Look
a
at all the traffic
thunderstorm.
they're causing too.
And it's all backed up on the interstate. So I know you want to protect your vehicle, but number one, if a tornado comes through, you're going to be in some serious
creates
trouble.
a actual wind tunnel.
Yeah. Good question on this. What tie am I wearing? At the moment, I've got just thunderstorm tie, pop-up thunderstorms, but we're going to be upgrading here. And I think a tornado watch is coming out for us later on tonight. I hate to say it,
No doubt
but I
about it.
think a tornado watch is coming.
No doubt about
Yeah.
it.
So we're still in the middle of our newscast. You can see it behind me right there. Allie doing the weather forecast. Let's take a look at Mega Doppler here. There's a very latest look at Mega Doppler. It's not a super impressive circulation, and the reason for that, low level shear, is just not there. It's just not there. Because if we go to add this, you're going to get to see that's just not an impressive photograph. It's not a good critical angle. Now, it could get better as that low level shear starts kicking in. See, starting to kick in a little bit, starting to increase. Wait a minute, what happened to the other one I had? Oh, here we go. Let's refresh this. Yeah. And here's an example here. I'm going to show you, share this tab instead. Here's the wind speed profile. So if I zoom in here, you can see low level shear, kind of weak. And then increases, but the low level jet, it's not strong here. Once that starts kicking in and starts moving to the right, that'll show you. So we're getting kind of a lack of speed shear, if you will. We have great directional shear, but we're just lacking speed shear.
Yeah.
Once that
Agreed.
low level jet starts kicking in and then the boundary decouples at the surface, which happens when you have, nighttime, nocturnal, that's when that will start really cranking up. And then that's when your low level shear vector will start increasing. So let's see if we can get a new photograph here about now. So 0012, we'll let it see if it refreshes. No, still the same one. Dangerous tornado in Illinois. I know. I don't think there's going to be an upgrade, and the reason I say that is because we just don't have the storm mode. The storm mode's a question. These probably won't remain supercells throughout the rest of the night because they will congeal into a line.
I mean, they already did down in Texas.
Yeah. So let me show you what we're looking at here real quick. Yeah, the tornado in Illinois was insane. We were on that, by the way. We were watching that. We actually, in the end of our newscast at 6 o'clock, we had that up.
Yeah.
It was incredible from Brandon.
Brandon Kopic.
Yeah, Brandon
for those
Kopic. Here's the
curious.
7-day forecast in case you're wondering. Davion's going to be on here soon. Yeah, tornado warning, but you know it's got wall cloud, but it just doesn't have the strong low level shear.
Huggins, and I know you guys have been tracking storms in the Oklahoma City area. Pretty serious over there.
Yeah, it's actually pretty serious. That supercell going right through the Oklahoma metro area right now. Of course, live coverage being covered over there. There's tornado warnings in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, just
All
northwest of
surrounding
Kansas
us.
City,
Yeah.
all the way to Illinois and Indiana. So a pretty stout system is definitely ahead of us. So taking a look at your 7-day forecast, a long night ahead, get ready to hear some thunderstorms. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts as this pretty stout system moves through. But after that, we're going to be greeted with very nice weather, a sigh of relief as we head into our weekend before things.
Just don't look at Monday.
Yeah, don't look at Monday. Before things surprisingly get chilly, we're struggling to leave the 40s this time. Yeah, not ready for that. Busting out the winter coats once again, as we could have a very hard freeze on the way as well. So
And
don't
then-
plant just yet.
Yeah, Saturday, 80 degrees. So we love that.
Right.
All
Tail
right.
with two tails.
Yeah, I know.
Two cities.
See you at 10.
261. 261 at 20.
Yep,
Jenna
They
Grove.
just updated.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Here you go. Share this tab instead. So here's your, it's coming up. Here's the critical angle of that. Pretty impressive there. So this will show you the straight line shear vector, and there you get the 90 degrees critical angle. And in fact, let's do that on this too. So I got KLOT. METAR is KIGQ. IGQ, and then storm motion. Oh yeah, 261 at 20 knots, so it's a little slower. So we'll plot the storm motion, we'll plot the METAR, and then we're going to plot the hodograph, and you're going to see a totally different view. Hopefully this works as we're plotting it. So what are you looking at here? Well, this shows you the horizontal. Look at that. Look at that, 0 to basically less than half a kilometer. I mean, that is a very strong shear vector. In fact, the other one, if it's working, yes. Yep. All right. So check this out. We go to the standard version, and it should calculate all that stuff, but I guess it doesn't anymore. So we lost the math on here. Yeah. All right. I'm going to share this tab instead. So this is a zoomed in view of the hodograph. So what are you looking at? Storm motion is more easterly, right? So our dot is going to be right about there. Let's plot that storm motion. There it is. 261 at 20 knots. This right here is your 0 to, oh, it actually tells you the depth. This is what I love about this. It tells you the depth, 32 knots at about 376 meters. So less than 500 meters. Now, if we were to do the 0 to half kilometer storm relative velocity, guess what? It would be less than the 0 to basically 0.3 kilometers or 0.4. And this is 90 degrees, basically 90 degrees, very close to about 90 degrees. And all this is your storm relative velocity. Now, these used to fill in where you could see the shear, the critical angle, all that stuff. We're working on this program. But here's the tabular data, and then here's a representation. See how that low-level jet kicks in? Big time difference in the shear. Big time difference. So if we go back to this, there you get to see the low-level shear. These are all things that, yes, okay, maybe we don't cover every single storm and we're not in every single area, but you're not going to see this on anywhere else. Nobody else is going to cover the shear vector like that. I don't believe so. And that's the science that we like telling you about. Let's look at the hodograph for Fort Smith. That's a great question. What does it look like? Well, that's a good critical angle. I should have took a picture of that. Well, we can go from the stream and take a picture of it. So I'll do Fort Smith, and we'll load up the METAR. Fort Smith's METAR is down. I forgot about that. Let's do POTO. And let's not do any storm. We won't do any storm relative velocity. So here's the low-level shear. It's there. It shows up, but it's not super impressive. But there you get to see it's a little bit better than Oklahoma City's even. So this is going to be something to watch. Yeah, the METAR doesn't work for Fort Smith. Yeah, it's down.
Man.
But there you go. A little bit stronger low-level shear for a northeast storm motion. That's pretty favorable. I think the tornado potential is going to be on the table tonight, especially for the River Valley. So now that you see the environment, and the question is what are these storms going to do? Well, if they remain isolated, which is not looking likely, to be honest with you, then we'll have tornadoes. But if they're more linear, then you'll see tornadoes embedded in supercells. Now look at the very latest image here. You got a cell there, you got a cluster there. That's kind of a left mover. You can tell because that's moving almost more northerly. And there's the left mover right there. You got other cells. This is the line right here that will eventually blossom northward. Now, Dallas is under the gun. And if you have a flight into Dallas, man, watch out. Yeah, thank you, Leslie. I didn't even realize I was not on the right source. But there's a look at the cell in Oklahoma City. Here's the isolated cells that are over southwest of Lindsay. And then you can see the individual cells that are popping up. But notice this energy right here that's coming in. This is a little more intense. And that's moving towards Dallas. So, in fact, you've got a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. You see that? See that dark brown area? If I bring this up and we do a query on this, you'll get to see we've got a severe thunderstorm warning destructive for 80 miles per hour winds plus, and that is in the area of that doesn't show all the different things on there for the severe. I have to fix that. Oh, that's because I changed it for severe and tornado possible and I removed it. Yeah, I gotta go in there and add it. So that's something I gotta do. We better do that today quick. So anyways, there you get to see the storm. And this is why we don't have like multiple ones, by the way. So this is why when we go into here, watch warning labels, we only do one box, one warning. So watch how much less coverage this is. You see that? So destructive, 80 miles per hour winds. That's moving right for the river. Right for parts of basically Dallas. Dallas, DFW, man, they're about to have some major delays. So the line is going to develop, blossom, move eastward. Maybe isolated cells continue to develop, but we're going to be watching this closely. And so I think storms are looking more likely later on tonight after midnight. Now that low-level jet will probably kick in. Storms will probably start rotating a little more in the river valley. But Leslie, I think we're going to talk more about so here we go. Destructive is also 80 miles per hour winds. It's not just the hail. So hail is a little bit less of a threat on that. Hail size does have to be 2 inches, but there's also destructive with 80 miles per hour winds. So 60 is base severe thunderstorm, 70 is considerable, and then the other one, destructive, is 80. And in fact, we got a graphic for that just to show you. So Joel, it's nice to learn something new every day, right? That's what I say. Here's what we got for the different types of severe thunderstorm warnings. So this started, by the way, in 2021. Considerable is max wind speed 70 to 79 or golf ball to baseball or tennis ball size hail. And then destructive is baseball size hail, but it doesn't have to have that. It has to have 80 miles per hour winds if it doesn't have the baseball hail.
Yep. It can be either or.
Yep, either or. And the destructive tag, by the way, will get a WEA alert. And this is what it looks like on Mega Doppler, by the way, if you're looking. And then you can go ahead and hit number 2, Leslie, and we could show you the different polygons. So there you see the destructive storm has a little bit of a darker brown around it. That shows you the big difference between the three.
You have all 3 warnings.
You got all 3 in one spot. Take a screen radar capture of that. So you go to Alt F.
Wait. Oh, it's different here.
Yeah, you got to go 2.
Okay.
2, go Alt F. And then go Save Image.
There we go.
An entire window. Yep. And then go ahead and drag that and save. Perfect. There we go. We got all 3 warnings on there. That's kind of cool. All at once. All right, guys. Well, here's what we're going to do. We got to take a break, 7:30. We'll be back at 8:30 to provide more information on some of the latest higher resolution models. And we'll give you another update. Of course, we got to fuel up, get some Baja Blast. I'm gonna go run to the store and get some. One last look at the future radar, even though, hey, it's updated now, so we'll be able to see what it looks like. That line still comes in pretty stout around midnight. So I think midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Look, it even has more isolated cellular activity.
Right.
Potentially in the river valley. I mean, it's definitely there. And then it lines out. And so either way, we know the environment is conducive for severe weather and tornado potential. So we're going to be watching. I would say by 10 o'clock tonight, we might be under a tornado watch. Probably will go till 4 a.m. Yeah. All right, guys. God bless. Have a good one. We'll see you later. And we'll be back to give you another live stream. We would love to do this all the way through the night, but we've actually got things to do and things to do to prepare for this. So
Yes, exactly.
all right. Take care. One last look. I said I was going to leave, but I do want one last look of the Oklahoma City area. In case you're wondering, this is from KFOR. No low-level shear, so guess what? Not really tornadoing.
It was
That's the key.
there was a shelf cloud earlier, so you could tell it was
Kind of
becoming-
gusting out. huh?
Exactly.
But remember, the up-level support isn't quite here yet, but it will be later. So thanks for watching. Take care, guys. We'll see you later.